I wish somebody would have told me this about meditation years ago. I could have saved myself from so much struggle and frustration. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm no master meditator, and it took me years to even get to a position where I'd call myself a beginner. But when I learnt these 3 key ideas, then the mystery of meditation just evaporated. And I realised that it's actually really, really easy. So the first thing that you need is a purpose. Why do you actually want to meditate? If your first instinct is to say something like, well, meditation's popular, or meditation's healthy, or somebody said meditation's a good idea and it's beneficial, then that's not really a good enough reason to want to meditate. You need to invoke the will, and you need to have a strong desire to meditate, because that then provides the fuel or the fire to want to keep doing it. In other words, by having a purpose, that's going to provide you with the motivation to not only start, but actually keep going when things get a little bit difficult and challenging. Now, for me, when I started off, I was doing it because it was just the thing to do in the health and wellness community, and I didn't really want to do it, but I thought it was beneficial in some way because everybody was doing it, so I thought, well, maybe I'm missing out on something. And I could not stick to it at all because I didn't have a personal reason or a personal motivation. I didn't have my own purpose to help me keep going. But then when I got into magic, then I had this desire to be able to control my mind. And so that was the motivation that I needed to help me not only start a real meditation practice, but to continue with it and to keep it up and be consistent with it. Magic gave me the motivation to want to practice meditating every day. So the second thing that we need to understand is that meditation is a process. It's about the journey, not the end goal. And in fact, it's actually pretty difficult to define an end goal for meditation, because what do you define as a sufficient amount of control of your mind? These lines can get blurred from person to person. And then how do you know you're there? How do you know that you're doing it? When you start off, you don't really know what you're aiming for, so how can you monitor your progress and tell if you've achieved the goal that you've set for yourself? And so because of that, if you do set yourself an end goal, you'll likely never reach it. Now, there is a reason that people refer to a meditation practice, and that is because it's about the process or the journey or the practicing, and it's not about the end goal. And I don't care if you're some Zen Buddhist monk. There is always some way in which you can improve. You can always do better with your meditation. So drop this idea that there's some end goal or there's some definition of being able to meditate, and instead just enjoy the process. Even if that means you can literally only sit in silence for 10 seconds, you are meditating. So as well as meditation being a practice or a process, we also need to understand that that practice and process is personal. Now, there are so many ways in which you can meditate: active, passive, sitting, standing, walking, emptying the mind, focusing the mind, and the list goes on and on. So if you're a beginner, then I would really encourage you to try all of these different styles of meditation and find out what actually works for you. Because more often than not, beginners seem to assume that meditation is about sitting down and emptying the mind, and then they think that they can't do that, and so they give up on meditation altogether and just assume that they can't meditate, when in fact there may be another style of meditation that they are particularly well suited to and that they can do really well. So for example, I was meditating for years in martial arts and I had no clue that I was doing it, because I had this idea in my mind that meditation was literally sitting very quietly and emptying your mind. But actually, anyone that's been involved in martial arts and knows about kata or forms or things like that, like the choreographed movements that we do, they'll understand that that can be a form of meditation. So for me, when I do a kata, the whole world sort of disappears and gets blocked out, and I am just completely focused on the movements that I'm doing. But I didn't know that at the time because nobody told me, and I had a very narrow-minded view of what meditation actually is. I'm actually not very good at completely emptying my mind. That's not for me. I much prefer to focus on something and give it my complete attention. The best type of meditation for me is doing an activity where I can get in the zone, or what other people refer to as being in flow. So don't write off meditation as being this boring thing where you have to sit still and focus on shoving every thought out of your head, because it's not true. Try a few different styles and see what works for you. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll tell yourself all of these ridiculous stories about how you can't meditate. I can't sit still, I can't clear my mind, I can't focus, I can't this, I can't that. But the sad truth is, if you tell yourself that you can't do something, then you will never be able to do it. So the secret is intention. Just intend to meditate in your preferred way, whether that's just sitting quietly for 5 minutes, observing your thoughts for 10 minutes, or focusing on an activity for 15 minutes. Set the intention that you will meditate. And the most important thing, at the beginning of the meditation, tell yourself that you can do it. Just try it. At the beginning of your meditation, set the intention that you will meditate, and then give yourself the affirmation that you actually can do it, and watch the difference that it makes. Then come back here and let me know how you get on.